Today I'm going to be sharing with you some things you need to not miss in SoulMask. Now this is going to focus on some things that are not immediately obvious and other things that are easy to overlook that I think are going to be very useful and that I found very useful in my first week and a half of playing this game. If you do find the video useful, please do drop me a like and a subscribe down below, and let's jump into these quick fire, helpful, do not miss tips. First things first, as you can see in the bottom right of my screen, you actually have a combat target lock. This is very useful because it means with abilities like the spear throw, which you can see here, if you're locked onto the target, it will automatically hit that target unless they specifically dodge it. Obviously this is harder in PvP, but for PvE versus the animals and the enemies, this is a really good thing to take advantage of. Next, make sure you get monkeys as soon as you can to be tamed in your base. As you can see here, they are indicated by the little blue outline on them. I've got a couple more that are off somewhere gathering, because essentially what they will do, you can see another guy there, is fill up a monkey storage nest once you've tamed them and brought them to your base, which will get you exotic fruit as well as mushrooms. It will get you wild fruit, it will get you nuts, but what you're really looking for are the bananas and the pineapples. Why do you want these? Well, those are going to be very useful for a number of different recipes in the game, but most notably on the cooking table you can actually make fruit kebabs with those alongside fresh meat, which as you will see gives you maximum stamina of +10, it gives you a movement speed of +5%, radiation -1.2 per minute for 20 minutes. Now if you are early on in the game that won't mean much to you yet, but later game that is very important. And on top of that, it also grants enhanced recovery for 10 seconds and uplifts mood. So this is a really nice piece of food to have on you or to use when you're going into battle or running around the map, whatever you're doing. So you want to get on this early doors. You can get the meat very easily, but of course the bananas and pineapples can then be got from those monkey nests. If you open up the map, and you can see here I have a few custom markers, what you can actually do with these custom markers is set them as designated work locations for your NPCs. So if they are missing out on something, say you've done wild gather mining around your base and they're missing some stone, or there's a particular area that you would like them to go and gather stone in, if there's a big concentration of it, you can put a custom marker on the map and set their gather location to this custom marker. This works like so. If you go onto your collect resources, Jungle King is my main bonfire, but as you can see here we can set them to where the monkeys are, we can set them to where the trees and fibre are, rocks, and you can see all of these different things I have put in that they can actually go ahead and use. So you can make as many custom markers as you want and then select the goal and they will go towards that and start using it to gather. Now something you can do whilst your tribesmen are out gathering is of course set things to craft at intervals on the crafting table. This can be particularly good. As you can see, I've got going here the tools. These can be useful because if you then set your NPCs to drop or discard your tools when they are at 0 durability, you can then set these to craft at certain intervals. Now to do this, what you will do is select, let's say here, a knife to go ahead and craft it. And what you can do, instead of crafting it, you can press R to come off the bench. And you can press on this cog here, and then you can set the time that you want it to be crafted at. You can actually put these circulation intervals to whatever time you would like, and how many items are crafted per interval. So you can do them in bulk, or you can do one every 30 to 40 minutes. I've currently got mine on 45 minutes. And having them on that timer allows my tribesmen to constantly be working, dropping the tools when they are used up of durability, and then crafting some more and picking them up from the chest once they need to be able to continuously work for me and get all of the resources that I could need in the local area. If you really want to get XP fast in the early or very early mid-game section, you're going to want to mine tin, copper and clay. Now early game clay is very accessible. It's around all of these little lakes, as you can see where my base is built here. But if you are more towards the starting section of the map, this big river here, it goes into a thin one and then comes out into this big mouth section. All around here you'll find clay, and this will level you up very quickly. As you can see, I started my first base over here and there's lots of clay. That's going to be a great XP booster. Obviously you want to be killing mobs on top of that, but this is going to be a fast and safer way to get XP fast. You will also need the materials, especially the tin and the copper when you move on to your late early game stages. This is going to be great because you make bronze with it, and you can also get a ton of XP for mining it, so make sure you give that a go. If you want to carry more of this, you will need to bring a mount with you for the extra carry capacity, or you can of course use certain foods that are in the game. Things like your roasted potatoes will give you increased max load if you have some. If you don't have some of these, usually you can find them by clearing out these barbarian barracks over here, and as you are going around you'll find things like food supplies in the chests as well as some crops out front. Now, if you have a bonfire with somewhere to sit, as you can see all of my tribesmen are doing that right now, if you sit by a fire, you will get a rested XP buff, and what that will do is allow the character you are currently playing as to gain more XP, or as the game puts it, gain 40% more body XP. Now, that is for comfort level 2, which requires a bench, and you can of course upgrade this to level 3 with things like the hot tub, and what you'll be able to do then is gain more XP with the body you're using. So if you're playing as your own character or one of your tribesmen, if you press O, you will see the level that you are and what stats they have, and you can go ahead and increase that a little bit quicker. This doesn't affect proficiency, and it doesn't affect mask level or awareness level experience. However, it is still very good for leveling up that specific character and making them a little bit more powerful as you are using them for whatever else you need. Another really important point is that you can respawn at bonfires, but you can also respawn at campfires. Now, these don't appear on the map until you actually need to respawn at them if you die, but if you put one nearby to an objective, they cost a little bit less than a bonfire, and you are not limited to the amount you can have down as far as I can see. Somebody let me know in the comments if that is not true, if you are limited to a certain amount. But usually once they have gone out, they've been extinguished, and if they are outside of your build radius, which protects it from decaying, of course in that bonfire radius, then these will generally disappear and you can actually use them again. Just put a few branches in there or a few sticks. Usually you want 20 to 30 minutes minimum on those, depending what content you're doing. If you're doing the dungeon, for example, or the saber-toothed tiger, you'll probably want an hour on there just in case you need to do this a few times. But you can pop campfires fairly nearby, as close as you can with the bonfire, and they do exactly the same job. If you are playing this on single player or your private realm, you can actually set it so that your death package will spawn at your feet as well once you respawn, and this is a default setting now in some aspects of the game, so if you've started a new game you may see this in place. If you haven't, you can flick this on in the settings section for the server or the single player world, and what that does is allow you to respawn and have all of your gear and items straight at your feet, which can be very useful if you are playing on a private or solo server. You can actually reset your technology points. In the top left here, you can see that it says reset technology, and it says, are you sure you want to reset all technology points? No material cost for this technology reset. Now, of course, a lot of this stuff is required for the prerequisite below it. So, for example, primitive tools. In order to be able to unlock these further ones like beast bone tools and so on and so forth, you do need to go through the list. But some of these only require you to have 1 out of 3 in. So, for example, basic tannery, it may only require you to get tanning rack level 1. And once you've passed these other points here, you do need tanning fluid for quite a bit of the game. But maybe it's that you don't think you're going to need rough leather anymore. So you can maybe go past that and save an extra few points on here. I don't know the exact details of what you should and shouldn't take and what you should skip over at the moment, but as I progress further into the game and unlock some more details on this, I will let you know. However, it's worth knowing that that's there if you've invested into something, for example, like medium building, this one down here. If you're on solo or a private server again, and you're not really PvPing, the traps are not going to be that useful. They can be helpful for defending your base from NPCs and animals, but overall, some of these are more focused towards PvP. So that's another 2 points you could get back if you don't invest into those. Now, another very useful tip is if you are ever climbing up a surface and you start to run out of stamina and you think you're going to have to get down, you can actually drop and then press spacebar again to grab the wall as you are falling. Now, this is great on a house of 2-story like this, which doesn't really matter if you fall off it, but when you are scaling down cliffs, you can also do this to grab onto the cliff face. Now, bear in mind, if these cliff faces do have some inversions on the gradient of the cliff, then it can be sometimes harder to grab on, but just hold W towards the wall and press spacebar again, and you should be able to grab that fairly easily, and therefore be able to climb up or grab on your way down, and gradually lower yourself towards the ground without having to find a path around, should you wish to do so. Now, once you start to upgrade some of your stations, and you'll see here we've added a part to our weapon crafting bench here, which now allows us to craft bronze stuff. If I went ahead to try and repair or craft something in this station right now, it would sometimes just sit in the queue and not do anything, or say you need to enable the station. What you'll see in the top right, you can see right now we are currently enabled with this. If we click disable, you'll see that it's got 28 minutes of fuel ready to go, and if I want to craft something with it, I'll need to make sure I tick the enable one and have fuel in there ready to go. Otherwise, this is not going to actually allow us to craft, so it's very important that you enable this, and I always like to turn it off afterwards not to waste fuel. But you'll see if I put the bronze hammer in there, it says repair it on an unlocked crafting table. If you go ahead, press enable and then click the repair button, we are now able to repair it. So that is really good, and it's something to be aware of because it has tripped a lot of players, including myself, up several times. Really crucially with that same point then is making sure that your bonfires and any campfires that you want to respawn at are constantly lit and have fuel in. Now this is fairly easy to do at your home base. You can set a tribesman work to camp upkeep where they will go around and keep the bonfires lit, as well as any of the torches that you have in your base. You can see the wall torches here and some standing torches out there, and that does generally maintain this pretty well. But what you will need to do, like I said in prior tips, is if you are wanting to respawn at a campfire, make sure you've got a good amount of fuel in there so that you can use it, because the second the fire extinguishes, you can no longer use that as a respawn point. If you lose one of your tribesmen, if there's somebody that you are specifically looking for and you can't find them, there is a mark button here. You can go ahead and mark them so you can actually go ahead and find them. This can be great if you've got a 2-story or particularly large base where they wander off and do their own crafting from time to time, and if you want to find somebody to give them upgraded gear, or you want to rearrange their jobs, using this function can be really helpful to actually catch up to your tribesmen. If you're finding it difficult to get any particular animal products, you can head over to the butcher's table, and what you can actually do is craft these from the common carcass chunks, which you will get as you are skinning animals around the island just naturally. And what you can do with these is make them into beast bones, as you can see here. You can also make them into beast hide and fresh meat. Beast fuzz, particularly early game, is very useful, and so on and so forth. One really important thing to note from this is you can actually make the alligator carcass chunks into alligator skin. Why is this good? Well, if you're wanting to make thick hide, like you can see here, you can use alligator skin to do this along with tanning fluid. And do be aware as well, once you get other animal products like the anaconda carcass chunk here or the premium ones, you can go ahead and turn all of these into the other animal resources that you need as and when you want them as well. This can be really helpful and save you a fair bit of time, particularly on the beast fuzz early doors, and particularly on the alligator skin once you hit that Bronze Age section where you're starting to need that thick leather. And finally here then, do not sleep on the mods. Once you get these mods unlocked, you'll pretty much need to be at the rough Bronze Age section where you get into the armor and the weapons around level 25, where you hit up the first dungeon. And with this, they will start to drop you some mods. You're also able to craft them a little bit before this, but these are super useful because you will see their durability, cost, speed down by 20% for weapons and tool. You can also get one there. You can see this is mod 2, so it's down by 40%. And this is for gear, so any of your armor and jewelry. And this is really, really important because it probably will not come as a shock to anybody that has played this game for more than an hour, but durability does go down pretty quickly. So these things are going to be game-changing for you and are going to be crucially important if you want to go on some of these longer expeditions or the dungeons or any of the POIs once you get into that early mid-game section. So that's pretty much going to be it for today's video. If you have found it useful, please do leave me a like and a subscribe down below. If you've got any other crucial SoulMask tips that you think people should not miss, do feel free to drop them in the comments down below. And if you'd like to see a part 2 to this with some more advanced stuff in there as well, let me know in the comments. Other than that, I'll catch you again very shortly in a brand new upload. So take care and peace.